In this video, we're going to be looking at an application problem that has to do with the cost of an item. The problem says that the cost of a meal and a 7% tax is $16.26. Find the cost of the meal before tax. So first of all, let's talk about what happens when you buy something that has tax added onto it. So you have the cost of the item, whatever that is, whether it be a meal at a restaurant or a pair of jeans or a new car. And then they add sales tax to it. And then that is what gives you your total price or your total cost. So one thing to know is that the tax of an item is based on the tax rate, whatever that is, that percentage that will be converted to a decimal, times the cost of the item. And that is how tax is determined. So let's think about this in regards to this problem. We're trying to find the cost of the meal. So I'll just say that X is equal to the cost of the meal. It's always important to identify what your variable is going to be. So I have my meal, which the cost of the meal is X. And now I have to add the tax to it. Well, the tax, remember, is the tax rate times the cost of the item. So my tax rate is 7%, but I need to write that as a decimal, which means 0.07. So my tax rate is 0.07. And then the next part is times the cost of the item. Well, we don't know the actual cost of the item. We're just calling it X. So that's the tax. It's 0.07X. And then that equals the total cost of the meal, which was $16.26. So this is the equation that I'm working with. X plus 0.07X is equal to $16.26. So when you're paying tax on an item, you're buying the item plus a little bit more of the item. That's kind of what the tax is. You're spending a little bit more percentage of that item. Well, to solve this problem, we want to combine our like terms. Now keep in mind there's an understood 1 in front of that X. So when I add my coefficient, 1 plus 0.07X, that gives me 1.07X is equal to $16.26. So that's my equation. Now I just need to divide by 1.07 on both sides. And that will tell me the cost of the item, which is, so on the calculator it came out to X is equal to 15.196. So we're talking about money, so we're just going to round up to the nearest cent, which means the cost of my item was $15.20, or the cost of my meal. So my meal was $15.20, and I spent $16.26. All right, number 2. The cost of a new pair of jeans is $79.38. If the tax rate is 8%, find the pre-tax price of the jeans and how much money is spent in tax. All right, so we're going to say that the pre-tax price of the jeans, we'll call that X is that. So X is equal to the pre-tax price of the jeans. So in my equation, I have my jeans, which is X. Now I need to add my tax. Remember, the tax is the tax rate times the item. So my tax rate is 8%, which means it's really 0.08 as a decimal. So it's 0.08 times my item. and then that equals the $79.38 that I spent for my jeans. So it's super important that you remember it's the tax rate times your item. That's how we determine the tax part. So now I just need to solve this equation by combining like terms. Remember, there's an understood 1 there, so when I combine like terms, I have 1 whole plus 0.08. That leaves me with 1.08x is equal to $79.38. So now I'll divide by my coefficient of 1.08. And I find out that the jeans cost me $73.50. So that's the price of the jeans, but then it says how much money is spent in tax. So to find out how much I spent in tax, I'm going to take my total price, which is $79.38, and I'm going to subtract the price of the jeans, which is $73.50, and I find out that I spent $5.88 in tax. So the general formula for finding the pre-tax price of an item, thinking about how we find the total, is we take our item plus our tax equal our total. And our tax is formed by the tax rate times the item. Our template would be our X, our item, plus whatever percentage rate we're paying in tax would go in front of X, and then this is equal to the total cost. So that's kind of like the bare template that you would be using for finding the pre-tax price.